Hi there. St. Patrick's Day is right around the corner, and it's a really fun time to celebrate the Irish heritage as well as get together with family or not and just make something to kind of honor that day. So today I'm going to make a chocolate Guinness cake. When we went to Ireland, we didn't have that, but it is a really delicious cake, and it's something really nice to make for St. Patrick's Day. So you are going to use some Guinness beer. I did taste the Guinness while I was in Ireland. I don't personally care for it. To me, it's a little strong, but I bought some to make this cake. So I am going to show a few little clips of our trip to Ireland that we took in 2019. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you try this recipe. It's absolutely delicious. These are all the ingredients you're going to need to make your chocolate Guinness cake. You're going to need a 9-inch springform cake pan, and you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we're going to have Guinness beer, vanilla, cream cheese is for the icing, and sour cream, butter, Hershey's cocoa powder, 2 eggs, baking soda, whipping cream, and flour. And I will put all the ingredients, the amounts, and the directions in the description below the video. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. You want to start by first greasing your springform pan really well with grease, butter. I'm using butter. And you want to do this really well because you don't want it to stick to the pan. Next, you're going to measure out your 1 cup of Guinness dark beer. It's got a lot of foam in it, but we're going to do 1 cup of Guinness beer. And then you're going to need a 1/2 cup of cubed butter. So it doesn't have to be soft. It's just, this is kind of like, was taken out of the refrigerator a few hours ago. So it's just kind of regular. It's not hard, and it's not softened to the max. So we're just going to cut the butter in cubes, and the reason for that is it will melt down better when we put it in the stove. So next, what we're going to do after we cut up these in little cubes, we're going to melt the butter and the Guinness on the stove on low till it's completely melted. You're going to measure out 2 cups of sugar and put it in a bowl, and then you're going to add 3/4 a cup of baking cocoa. So that's 1 cup. You want 3. Here's 2. And we're making a little mess. Cocoa powder is a little messy. And here's 3 cups. So we're going to whisk this and kind of set this aside. So what you're going to want to do is whisk these together, the sugar and the cocoa powder, because this is what's going to be added to the beer and butter once it's melted. Once it's melted, the beer and butter, we'll remove it from the stove, and then we're going to add this to it before we add the other ingredients. You do want to measure out all your ingredients beforehand so it's all ready when you need it. So right now we're measuring out 2/3 of sour cream. Because even though you don't put the ingredients all in at the same time, you want to have it ready because it will go consecutively after the other ingredients. So here we have 2/3 of sour cream. And of course our 2 eggs are at room temp, which we have out. So we have all of our ingredients that we're setting out, and we also have our 3 teaspoons of vanilla. Now we're going to have 2 cups of all-purpose flour and a 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda put aside. Next, you want to crack your 2 eggs and beat them beforehand so they're all ready to go in when they're ready. So this is the last thing we're doing, is just beating 2 eggs, and we're going to set it aside until we need them. Once all your ingredients are put aside, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to melt your 1 stick of butter that you've cubed up, and you're going to melt the 1 cup of Guinness beer together in a pan. On low, we don't want anything to burn, so that's why you always melt butter on low. And you're going to melt it with, like I said, a cup of Guinness beer. So I'm going to kind of stir this around a little. And then I kind of like to melt this first when I make it before I add the beer. So that's what I'm going to do. So once your butter is melted, just about like this, the majority of it's melted, then you pour your Guinness beer in. And then what we're going to do is let it finish melting with the beer in it. So it kind of cooks it all together. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to now let the rest of the butter melt with the beer. So once it's all melted, then you take it off the stove. Once your beer and your butter are melted, you take it off the stove, and now you're going to whisk in your cocoa and sugar mixture that you did. So you're going to pour all that in, and then you're going to whisk all this together. So this is all done in steps. You don't just put everything together at one time. It's done in steps, which is what makes this so rich and good. So I can smell this wonderful cocoa, and it smells absolutely wonderful. So we're going to whisk this until it's blended, and after that we're going to add our eggs, sour cream, and vanilla. So we'll add the blended eggs first. Then I'm going to add our 3 teaspoons of vanilla. And lastly, I'm going to add the sour cream, which is 3/4 of a cup. So you can tell that all these ingredients are really nice, wholesome ingredients. So now we're going to mix the sour cream and the eggs and the vanilla all together. And as soon as we blend this really well, then we're going to add our flour and baking soda. Okay, all of this is combined and blended really good. Now we're going to gradually add our flour and our baking soda that's mixed in with the flour. We're going to blend everything together until everything's incorporated. So here's our chocolate batter. Doesn't that look really good? It smells so rich and chocolatey. It's really good. So once everything is blended in, you're going to put everything in your 9-inch springform pan. You're just going to fill it up. We're going to put it in a 350 degrees preheated oven for anywhere from 40 to 50 minutes. So I always go with the lowest temp first, and I check it. And when it comes out clean with a toothpick, you'll know it's done. So now we're going to put this in the oven. There it goes. It's going to bake for 40 to 50 minutes. Middle rack. The whipping cream and the cream cheese and powdered sugar are going to be for your cream cheese frosting. You don't want to make this until after the cake has been cooled for a little bit, because it will melt on it. So this is something you don't do ahead of time. You wait till a little later. So we'll show you this in a little bit. Your cake is done after you check it with the toothpick and it comes out clean. So now it's very, very hot. So what we're going to do is cool this, and I'm going to release that little bracket there, and it will make the cake come out really easily. But it's going to cool, I would say, an hour before we frost it. This has been cooling probably about 40 minutes. So I'm going to release it and take the top off of it. So I'm going to wait probably another 30 minutes before I frost it, but I'm going to make the frosting now. So the frosting has 1 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese. It has 1.5 cups of powdered sugar and 1/2 cup of whipping cream, heavy cream. So we're going to start with whipping the cream cheese first. I'm using my hand mixer because it's more effective in creaming this. You want to cream this really well before you add your sugar and your whipping cream. Our cake has been cooling exactly 1 hour, which is just about the right amount of time you need before you can actually frost it. Here's our nice creamy frosting, cream cheese frosting, and that's how you want it. So now what we're going to do is frost this cake. It looks so delicious. I'm really excited about eating this. So we're going to frost the whole cake. And like it's just one cake pan. And it's a thicker cake pan, but it's just perfect. So some of these Irish cake recipes, they just show the icing on the top and nothing on the sides. But if you make enough icing, you can put it on the sides. And so to me, it makes plenty of icing to put it on the edge. But a lot of the recipes that I've seen, they only show this cream cheese icing on the top of the cake. But I find I have enough frosting to do the edges. So looks good. We're going to give this a try. Okay, it's time for the taste test. This is a really, really rich and creamy chocolate cake with a cream cheese icing. And of course, what you'll want to do is refrigerate it after you make it. And you know, it's good to have now, but it's cream cheese, so you want to refrigerate it. So let's give it a taste. Really, really good. Really moist and a creamy, delicious frosting. I think this is a perfect dessert to serve for St. Patrick's Day because it's a traditional Irish cake and it's really, really delicious. So I hope you try this and I hope it turns out wonderful. Giant Causeway, Ireland.